Mouth-watering one here in game number 4. Griffin looking to prove that they can go up against Gen.G with their gauntlet buff in full effect.
Haru and Tarzan doing a bit of belly bouncing around each other. I assume Haru saw him come into that brush. Look at that. Oh, that's some great dance mechanics. Urgot on the dance floor sounds pretty cool, if you ask me.
It's a little bit dangerous, but I see what you're going for. Lots of flashing lights.
What can I say? I like the shiny stuff.
Yeah.
Attracted to that. Not a shiny new pick, the Urgot, anymore, after seeing that priority in the 3 weeks off into the LCK final. We are not even 1 week removed from that final. 6 days later, Griffin comes back in game 1, pick up the victory to answer some of the questions of where they're at. But going down with the stubborn 3rd game draft is the biggest question mark in a while for Griffin. They can back it up and push to game 5, then we'll be kind of lost to say who has that advantage for the ultimate best of 1.
That's really the question, for sure. This Vel'Koz in the lane, I'm very curious to see how it will do, especially after level 2, up against the Aatrox, who can move around and interrupt so much stuff. Notice that the Gragas gets a big leash by the Urgot in the top side, but the Sejuani is all alone over there, so her jungler is going to be slightly slower.
Actually, it's going to be AP Kai'Sa coming through from Viper. There's so much plasma applying by Ornn, Sejuani. There's physical damage from the Aatrox. You can tell because he didn't go into Legends Bloodline, the lifesteal in the tree. He went into the attack speed. He also has teleport. So this is the AP Kai'Sa that Viper plays in solo queue. It had huge trains of 7 or 8 games in a row on this pick. It does really weaken their 2v2 bot lane. The moment that Ruler can communicate that to Haru, you just make your entire game plan, gank bot relentlessly, and never allow 3 items to go to Viper.
We'll see how that does go. Tarzan on the Sejuani, just going full farm mode himself. He's going to be more so on the counter ganking. It's very hard to throw an ultimate into Rakan Xayah in the bottom lane, that's for sure. But we'll see which lanes he does want to focus on. I already mentioned Aatrox up against Vel'Koz can get pretty aggressive if you've got a Sejuani to jump in there too. Could be nice. Notice that Crown did take the cleanse to make sure that he's not going to just die to Sejuani. We've seen mid laners skimp on that against Sejuani. It's not a good idea, guys.
And because of this change to the Alistar Kai'Sa, it also means we're going to see a different look from Griffin's bot lane. Caitlyn Morgana is, we got to punish Xayah Rakan, we got to counterpick. The moment you pick Alistar Kai'Sa, doesn't matter who the enemy is, you know that you're going to have a bad time, and Xayah Rakan certainly win this lane. So it's losing the minimum scaling with the AP Kai'Sa. A different look on the bot side. We'll see if Tarzan needs to jungle around it to try to halve it out, just to give it a chance, or whether he can ignore it. We'll wait and see on that particular side, because if you get the free late game, seems like a lot of hard CC for Viper to win basically every true 5v5.
Jovi, happy to finally see him on something else. Here we did see Zoe for game 1. It's pretty good, but then 2 games of Irelia that just did not work out for him. Now the Aatrox, we've been seeing a lot of him up on the top side, but I like the games they were playing in the pick ban to allow Chovy to sneakily grab this up.
And they'll feel very happy with Aatrox mid lane against Vel'Koz. It's an annoying matchup because you get harassed out, but just with Doran Shield, you can see not taking any meaningful damage from Crown, who needs 3 points in his W to actually have any push ability. 2 Ws will clear the back line at level 5. Tarzan's bot lane and hasn't been spotted.
Here's an opportunity, Lahans with the flash on in the headbutt back in. Core JJ, though, this is Xayah Rakan. He's able to get out without even flashing, guys.
It's even worse than that. They don't even get a summoner out of all of that, and Lahens used his flash and ignite. Nice little escape. I thought he was dead to rights the moment that the headbutt didn't put him closer to his turret. Very nice play coming through, like you mentioned, just from the E range. Sword, we should mention, on the Ornn this time. We've called him the best loser against Urgot. Basically, all you need to know is Urgot has priority in almost every lane. Ornn doesn't die, he farms, he doesn't lose turret health, so the fact that he has the on-demand engage in a team fight, you feel pretty good, all things considered, running the Ornn into the Urgot.
Definitely liking that position here. Feels weird that Griffin has been on blue every time. And, okay, that's not going to connect, so was thinking about going in for Haru, but now it's 2-on-2. The control ward here. Haru is going to body slam his way out of this one.
Can't see the experience, but if Crown pinged level 6 on that, it would have been really bad for Griffin's 2v2.
Oh, yeah.
But no ultimate dive. He's about 2 minions away. Bot lane.
A nice amount of aggro on in there to Ruler, but Hands takes a little bit back. It's not going to matter in the end. And, well, there's that ultimate. They both hit level 6 here. Now Crown is going to get hit up. That last one with the flash, nicely predicted, is going to be able to get out of this one, though the damage does come down on the Tarzan. Nice try by Crown to follow up, but neither person dies.
Jovi kind of had to go aggressive there because there's a long duration on the ultimate for being able to use his blood well to come back. And by the end, Crown, low on mana, wasn't able to finish him off, so able to get away. The ultimate was already used by Crown, who we should mention is once again going for the Fun Plus Phoenix cool mid laner, which is also Korean solo queue. Glacial Augment build on this Vel'Koz. Auto attacks will slow. Twin Shadows into GLP for extra synergy with that Keystone. So not going for Comet like we saw coming through from Faker when he played that, 2 days ago.
Tarzan looking for level 6 is going to pick it up this time. See what he goes for back with and exactly which lane he does want to gank onto.
Interesting that because of the early game, Viper's actually adjusted. It's gone attack speed, not lifesteal, and thus, but it's still going to be going for AD Kai'Sa. Maybe just a reality of the pressure he's feeling on the bot side. So playing with expectations here. Could also be a 3-evolve Kai'Sa, like Uzi likes to go. Going Stormrazor, Nashor's Tooth, and the Rage Blade. But BF Sword lets you fight a bit earlier, and this has been a scrappy game number 4, so you can definitely understand.
Looked like Toby missed that cannon. Not 100% sure. Don't mean to call him out, but you know, every laner's worst nightmare.
Every cannon is sacred ever since all the gold was loaded in. We made fun of them before. The moment they loaded the gold in, it was ripe to be made fun of.
Yeah. Might have been 142 though, so maybe he did get the cannon. Not 100% sure. Would have to look at the replay, but.
Well, you are the purveyor of the Drake counter and also the cannon watching today.
Okay. I'm on top of that, guys. Don't worry. I'll make sure to call them out. Twitch chat, always a fan.
They are indeed. Tarzan's back bot side. Again, still no summoners forced out of Gen.G's bot lane, so situational gank. Here we go.
There's the combo into that Glacial Prison. Do they have the burst damage this time? Yes! First blood will go to Viper in the bottom lane. Nicely set up this time around.
Really nice educated play. The Hex Flash just enough to instantly get vision when you go from one brush to the second. And Core JJ didn't know what was coming his way. Really nicely done. Who's to say that off-screen he didn't zone with that play 20 seconds ago, but this time he had the Sejuani to guarantee it. And now Tarzan keeps pushing. He even gets an ult out of Haru.
Yeah, awkward spot for him just around the corner, and that means with that push in the bottom side, they should be able to pick up this blue buff.
Hex Flash again.
Another engage this time. Rakan is back, is going to knock up that Alistair, but really, it's just about securing this blue buff. Will the smite come in? It looks like no, actually. It does go over to Viper somehow.
You'll take that one. The only smite used was Tarzan. Q was midair, so one of the two was going to pick it up. They were able to take it there, so nice little tool for Viper to keep pushing. Blue buff and the Fairy Charm. Fairy Charm, just for a bit of mana regen, will be sold. Doesn't cost too much and sells back for a lot of the efficiency, kind of like the Dark Seal that you stack as well. So it makes sense there. And how about a Drake to Griffin? We should shout about this one.
The first one, guys, 1-11.
How much game time has been played before their first Drake? I want to say upwards of an hour, 20 minutes of game time before their first Drake was registered.
Yeah. Griffin letting us know they're not going to be the team to be shut out in Dragons.
Hex Flash is such a cool ability because you can use it to zone. If you have an Alistair, you often see if you're playing solo queue them Hex Flash out of the River Brush. There's no one there, but they're just saying, what if there was someone? This time, Hex Flash into the second brush. The what if quickly turned into the oh no. The Rakan goes down. Nice play from Griffin.
Gen.G actually able to steal back a blue up on the top side of the map, as Tarzan did stay for an extremely long time to pick up the Infernal Drake. Definitely not the trade you'd like for Gen.G, but at least they're able to pick up something. At the end of the day, it's, you know, Sejuani is not super mana heavy, and it's Aatrox in the mid lane, so not too big of a deal.
No Siesli growing in the mid lane. Chovy caught between a couple of items here. She's gone for the Caulfield's Warhammer. Perhaps going to be building into something like the more Malmortius later, but the Death's Dance, the usual pickup in the mid lane on this Aatrox. Youmuu's also has been pretty popular in Challenger. There's a lot of Youmuu's rush on Aatrox just to have that engage potential. Speaking of engage.
Uh-oh, Crown, you're caught again here, and he is getting solo. Has to flash out of that one. The last up, but the perfect cast from Haru is able to shut them down. QV thinking about following up, but with Crown and no health, they're not going to go.
Chovy had Flash Ignite. I think he was looking for a cast to flash over to guarantee the kill, but in the end, holds his summoners and doesn't pick up the kill. Griffin would love to have a doubling of their kill total. They don't get it, but they still have good control around the mid lane when Crown summoners are down.
Yeah, maybe next time is what they'll say, and it's a big one. I mean, Vel'Koz is always going to be pretty good about clearing waves, but I'm going to hold that thought as Lehens once again. He is trying to get revenge for those 2 Morgana games.
Empowering Lehens with this Alistair is definitely working out for this team. They're on the front foot, and they took away Olaf Nidalee and added Sejuani, and suddenly now, everything's right for a turret dive.
Chovy's down here. Ruler, Haru, and Core JJ, the triangle of defense, just trying to push back the wave. Chovy and Lehens looks like they wanted to catch Crown rotating, but Crown, smarter than that, is not going to get caught.
Still, whatever the result here, it's nice that Griffin didn't go down in the same manner 3 games in a row. Some will say you took 1 game too long, and if they lose one of these next 2, you're pretty hard-pressed to disagree. But Chovy feels able now, with summoners down, to go for a walk left, right, and center. He'll add a Scuttle Crab to his total, and Griffin are definitely setting up. But once the vision isn't fully one note to the advantage of Gen.G, but it's not quite the same strangulation that Gen.G pulled off in the mid-game of Game 2 and Game 3.
Yeah, just about 300 gold ahead now for Griffin. Like their composition, able to play around the Kai'Sa. We've seen what the Kai'Sa can do when it gets super late game. Ruler just had his carry game on the Xayah. Obviously, that was up against a much different composition, up against an AD carry that was nearly absent on the Caitlyn. And so we'll have a much tougher time this time around up against Viper, but everybody knows that Gen.G in summer season specifically, Ruler was the guy that said, I am the AD carry player. I don't play awesome dudes. None of this Vladimir or Swain or anything like that. I'm going to hold the thought as Haru is looking to get caught here. Nice play to get out. Had to blow his flash, though. Crown with no flash, though, is going to get electrocuted down. There's the flash in by Tarzan. Picks up the kill. This time around, it's Crown making the mistake.
Crown looked at the Aatrox funny, and he died pretty fast. You do not trifle with a mid lane Aatrox who is free farmed. Takes him down very easily. He had 1 misstep where he wasn't just fully disengaging away and went down. Thought Gragas was going to get away with the face check. Didn't matter. Now they're looking at Gragas again. Every thwomp from the Aatrox Q always impresses you with damage. It's not 730 yet, but that time will come.
We're getting there. The only person that's more farmed than him is, well, on his team is Kai'Sa. The got 2 ahead up on the top side, but he's evening that up as we go. So very competitive in farm. In that sense, I want to see Crown and what he can do on the Vel'Koz from range, because we saw the Lysandra going in and engaging in a big way, but how about a disintegration ray later on in the game?
So you watch this play. If the Blast Plant is down, this is 100% a kill, but that's the extra variable where they just can't use everything and get screwed over by a Blast Plant. Crown, unfortunately, he just walks into terrain where he doesn't have a full ability to disengage. He's taken down too easily. Wow, and Kota just walks up and takes a lot of free damage.
Viper was about to recall on the cannon wave, and, well, Core JJ wanted to stop that.
Seems like Gen.G are playing with their food quite a lot in game number 4. Isn't it amazing how Griffin, if you think about it, have, you know, gone to not self-counterpick themselves, but chose definitely a scaling bot lane compared to Gen.G rather than we'll slam you and lane Caitlyn Morgana. But they changed the pieces around it. The Sejuani Aatrox change from the previous jungle mid lane. And then suddenly everything's falling into place. You're not feeling the brunt of the laning power of Ruler and Core JJ. The moment you move away from Kate Morgana, you're incentivized to playmake around the lane rather than leaving Kate Morg to slowly win a little bit. And a little bit has turned into a lot for the side of Griffin in this final game, where so many people just seem to have the swagger back that they lost in games 2 and 3.
Crown is about to get his flash back. I was thinking maybe Tarzan was going to come mid and we would have some flashbacks, but was not the case. Cortez and Haru were also coming up the river, which is very well warded, by the way. Kind of unfortunate that they do get the Ocean Drake with all of this control in the river for Gen.G. But, you know, it is what it is. At least they will get one Drake on the back of it.
They have Vision they've set up. They also have Twin Shadows. Seeing there's going to be a fight here. Alistair certainly is posturing for it.
Looking for that engage. The smite does come in onto Haru, and he's going to block it. Nice engage by Lahenza. The back line has his ultimate available, and here's Ornn from the middle. Is going to knock up 2, but the feather's coming through, and there's the disintegration ray, and eaten on up is the Sejuani. Looks like Griffin went a little bit too deep this time around as Gen.G immediately turn it back on them.
Griffin definitely misplayed the fight. Sword had to keep everything to kite back Crown and Ruler. They got 3 hits and a full disintegration ray. And they put paid to Griffin's front line. First good moment of the game for Gen.G.
You got to be so careful. You're going up against Xayah Vel'Koz. You're running into Featherstorm and the Ray.
We've called the Vel'Koz comps like this the Phalanx comp because they kite back with pressure, with any sort of defense, and they can open up and punish you. Aatrox, melee champion, a lot of melee threats. The moment that Ornhorn is down, it's very easy for Vel'Koz to open up, do a lot of damage. In a different fight, you have threat onto Vel'Koz. He's kiting back. He can never use his ultimate. In this fight, they trifold, and that ended up being a nice moment for Gen.G.
It was a bit awkward. They were going deep, and they were a little bit split up, and somehow Cuvée is going 1v3 and gets his ultimate and kills someone. Just Urgot things, you know. Doesn't die in the end with just a Black Cleaver. So he's feeling pretty good about that Urgot trade for the Aatrox, even though the Aatrox still pretty scary.
Definitely, Griffin, looking for a big win. Speaking of big wins.
Well, Crown, you are going to be able to cleanse that Ignite, but oh boy, this is getting pretty close. This Aatrox, though, I just mentioned that the trade may have felt good, but not in the mid lane.
Good to see Chovy dictating on a champion. Really only Zoe has unlocked his power in recent memory, the Yasuo as well. Tarzan's not alone here. He's got Sword with him, but this will definitely take a while.
Yeah, Cuvée with no flash to get out of this one. The Ornhorn as well, and how about an Aatrox to pick up the kill? Chovy will get his first of the game.
Remember back to Afrika Freaks versus Griffin semifinal. 2-1 down was Griffin, and then Chovy went basically legendary with no deaths. 2 games back-to-back, 7-0 into 8-0, and he's flexing.
Yeah, not going to work this time around for you, Crown. The crowd goes wild as Griffin, they've got some fans here. They don't want them to get out of Worlds just yet.
They haven't got a lot to squeal about all night. They've just been Gen.G disseminated in Gen.G regional buff way. Finally, Chovy popping off, and Gen.G need to choose their fights carefully, otherwise this man is going to get some pentakills.
2-0 and 2 is just having a ball right now.
And he's close to double full items being complete. He doesn't have a full item yet as most of a Black Cleaver, and is starting towards a second item. This is what we call, a very fast kill.
He had vision of him, as there was a minion in position to see him. You have to know the range of an Aatrox. It's just a straight-up mistake, as I suppose Crown is just getting a little bit overconfident up against the Aatrox. Needs to back off.
So Phage, Kindle Gem, Caulfield's Warhammer was all he had. It didn't feel like a gold lead. He has a 1300 gold lead. He now has Black Cleaver, a Serrated Dirk, and a BF sword from where he was. So the jump in damage is already going to be terrifying coming through from the Aatrox. You better find a way to kite him out with some good vision control and a smart team fight, maybe even a defensive Gragas ultimate. Otherwise, we saw something from Cuvée last game, a really nice game on the top lane Aatrox. The mid lane one, it can snowball pretty hard as well.
7 a ball so far. Add a bunch of lethality to that build, as you mentioned, to just chunk Crown even harder, who has no armor at the moment. So I feel like after this laning phase ends, though, Crown is going to be pretty happy to just avoid and stay as far away from Chovy as possible. We'll see if he can, though.
For now, that's fine. I think that becomes much harder when the turret count gets to 3 and the outer turrets are down. There's enough outer turrets that Vel'Koz just trims a wave and then goes back to safety. But when those turrets start to go down, Vel'Koz finding a safe spot to do much is kind of basically whenever his Twin Shadows is off cooldown. If he can use Twin Shadows, he can spot and kill a minion wave. If he can't, well, then he kind of has to run away.
The Phalanx has to turn into the turtle, right? They need to get some really defensive control wards and get Gragas and Urgot in front of Vel'Koz. Otherwise, he's not going to be doing much. I mean, we can see the result of this right now. Chovy just going to take a free turret. Vel'Koz cannot go 1v1. It's got to be Urgot. Even at that point, you know, can the Vel'Koz go up against the Ornn? Probably, but I don't know. We'll see.
We amusingly call the GOP the Super Soaker because it looks like those water pistols you used as a kid. The moment that Aatrox ignored and just kept tanking turret and taking the turret, that, you know, that's basically a water pistol right now. Again, the build is one that's been seen around the world. This Twin Shadows, Glacial Augment focused build. When it works well, it works really well. But in a game like this, where the kills start to go the way of a melee assassin, definitely doesn't really hold a candle to the enemy team.
For JJ, looks like he may have been spotted there by Tarzan, but either way, they're trying to do grouping tactics now, trying to get 1 kill by 1 kill as the objectives are about to spawn, specifically that Infernal Drake. Gen.G would love to even up the total. Fife is going to find Lehens up on the top side. Feels like a long shot. Twin Shadows do come out, and Lehens will be safe in the end.
He's holding on to his teleport, but has the cleanse for the team fight here. It's going to be very slow. Doesn't have a flash right now with Unsealed Spellbook. Chovy's to the side. Sword split pushing. Remember, Sword needs to teleport and then ultimates. There's some setup time there. So for now, Gen.G do control the Drake Pit. That part changed quickly because the third deep mid lane Rift Herald is on the way. Will this one charge?
I'm not so sure. Zaya's pretty good at getting feathers out there and rooting the Rift Heralds. Should be able to get a charge, though. It's so close. They get behind it, actually. Make sure that it doesn't do all too much damage. At the end of the day, they're still so scared of Chovy. I mean, he's 3 levels ahead of Crown right now for the mid lane, and they knew that after Chovy backed off of the bottom lane that he was going for a flank, and so they were like, okay, back, back, back. Still looking for Crown, by the way, in the bottom side. Voidseeker
hits onto Ruler, but he has everything up, so we're not going to be seeing turret dives just yet. Feels like we're so close to the game being either blown open by Griffin or made into a 50-50 by Gen.G. They need to not repeat their mistake of letting Vel'Koz set up.
Should be a free Drake as Haru, oh man, you took 1 step too far forward. Is able to flash out though, nice feathers to pull back, but the damage coming out from Chovy is unbelievable, and Viper into the back line. This is a slaughter as Gen.G, there is nowhere for them to run. The disintegration rate comes out, but it doesn't even get a kill as Chovy is terrorizing him in the back line. Viper looking for that ace, it doesn't look like they'll get it, maybe Sword. But no Crown.
Voidseeker?
Okay. He's got the swift feet footwork. Not sure what that was, but he gets away. And the Baron is on the cards now for Griffin.
Will be full information to Crown. He doesn't even have the ult to try to steal it. He's going to back. It's going to be Baron Griffin. This time they knew exactly what they needed to disrupt. They dotted their I's, they crossed their T's. The purple worm goes down, and that game 5 feel is starting to come over us at Valdez. It's looking likely at 24 minutes into game number 4.
Let's take a look at the replay. Exactly what happened. Haru took 1 step too far forward.
What went wrong last time? The engage last time was fine, but the fact they could set up with Ruler and Crown was not. Notice the Ornn ultimate hasn't been used yet. This time they get the value, because how much damage does Ruler and Crown get done as the Ornn ultimate is out? The answer is 0. They kill the closest target pretty damn fast. Very nicely played, and Chovy, even without his ultimate, is there to stop Crown having any safe terrain to defend to.
Crown zoned out the entire time. He's still level 12. Chovy's level 16, by the way, guys. And I'll have you know that this was not a blind pick. They knew that Aatrox was going mid because the Ornn was picked. They had confidence that Crown could go 1v1 up against Chovy, Vel'Koz versus Aatrox. It is not working in this game, guys.
Certainly not. this again feels more like game number 1, over-forcing the Lissandra pick rather than necessarily the right time for things like Vel'Koz and Lissandra. And has been the way of Crown, right? When you are a mastery player, if certain champions are gone, theoretically, you can only rely on your mastery of a matchup that may be 40-60 or something like that on your side and trying to tip it with great play. Chovy has looked at home on the Aatrox in a way he was never allowed to against the Lissandra. Mid lane difference is big this time. We've had many different roles be the driving force behind a victory. It's not a victory yet, but we're close to that 10,000 gold lead that Gen.G was getting consistently in previous games.
Last fight and the way it went, that would have been a surrender in solo queue. This is competitive. They're going to try to make it work. And, well, Ruler, he does have...
Wow. That was a lot of noise.
Okay, trying to get in there. Did Viper get too greedy? Ruler still incredibly low. Viper nearly going to go down. Will the Ignite take him out? No. They were thinking about it. QV, meanwhile, losing the fight over here. Crown losing to Chovy. Will it matter? The knockup comes in. Ruler flashes away. He's still somehow alive. Griffin kind of playing with their food at this point.
It's pretty messy, really actually. It's really messy from Griffin. They're trying too much. QV tried to play with angles. You're seeing Chovy go top side. Very quickly, life leeches his way back to basically full health. Goodbye in a turret, but they don't end the game on this Baron push, and it looks like they won't even get an inhibitor on their first Baron.
Definitely messy. That's why I said playing with their food, trying to dive inhibitor turrets almost for kills, and well, you know, how about the old-fashioned straight down the lane push? I'd like that out of Griffin. They don't have the best siege, but they do have Ornn, so they have an ability to do stuff like this.
Come back up into the mid lane. See what Gen.G can do. A lot of their ults on cooldown.
Look at Chovy. We also got Sword. He's got his ultimate, by the way, again. There's the Wombo combo. Gonna be 2 in a row. And now Ruler, no way to get away from that W. That's 4 kills over to the side of Griffin. Chovy, he is angry after those 2 losses. Once more kills, just gonna get a double. Griffin looking to end this one as soon as possible and make their way onto game 5.
And Chovy we trust with your back against the wall. Couldn't work out in that LCK final, but 2 out of 3 times is pretty damn good for the 17-and-a-half-year-old mid laner. Great performance in this one, and Griffin, they're looking to just close the game. Get that Silver Scrapes going. You're gonna have to do it on YouTube. Here's the dive.
Yeah, well, they do have that insane damage. The Alistair able to make it all open up. QV is Urgot, so he just never dies. Will eventually finally go down. Crown never able to do anything. We're going to game 5, guys. They just got to auto-attack that Nexus. Down it will go. Sword picks up the last hit, and there it is. Game number 5 coming straight at you. Griffin versus Gen.G.
We couldn't have known that Griffin could pivot this quickly. We saw the bans, and your first thought is, not again, Griffin, but Griffin do change. The change in the mindset, the killer instincts that were off in game 2 and 3 were suddenly there with the Sejuani Alistair allowing for